Hello everyone, Pino and Apple here with the latest from the Big Blue Box show. Welcome to the Big Blue Box. Series 15, Episode 6, The Interstellar Song Contest by Juno Dawson. Last time we had the story and the engine. An entertaining and really interesting episode that desperately needed time to explore its many ideas, but it was an overall positive. But this week's episode is truly the divisive of the season. Morals people are confused about, cameos that are undefined, and a mentality that compares its political message to current events, even though it was written like 2 years ago. There's a lot to unpack here, so we better get started with the Interstellar Song Contest. So the episode starts with a decent cold open, setting the campy tone well, with Sabine and Rylan Clark playing himself. Cryogenically unfrozen for the event, and as the Doctor and Belinda arrive to take their final Vindicator reading, they decide to stay and watch for a while. After the credits we get a nice behind-the-scenes view setting them up, with a good joke between Rylan and Nina Maxwell, the event's director.
Rylan, give me some ore. No, ore. AWE.
And after a weird clip of Trenzalore for some reason, we see our earliest look at Mrs. Flood watching the Doctor intently as he talks with Belinda, as she reminisces about spending time with her parents watching Eurovision. The Doctor shows off the space station, the ship having its own mavity, and atmosphere, encased in a bubble. And as the Vindicator pops, Mrs. Flood gets really excited, but decides to stay and watch the show anyway. Two side characters are set up well, Mike and Gary, a couple in need of therapy as they fight thanks to Belinda and 15 having stolen their booth. But things go wrong quickly, with the cool looking staff bots getting activated, like clones on Order 66, and taking over the station systems and control room, placing Kid, played by Freddie Fox, in charge. And boy do we need to talk about Kid. Freddie Fox plays him well in this sort of die-hard situation, but the character has remained pretty divisive. He has a good motive, the corporation that sponsors the contest having raided and destroyed his home planet, and his species name tarnished throughout the galaxy as witches and untrustworthy, literally named Hellions. But the story isn't sure whether this should make him sympathetic or not, when he plans to kill 3 trillion innocent people. Yeah, the Doctor will take some questionable action later, and people have been commenting that Kid is just someone hard done by and it's not right, and he should take the corporation down. And yes, the corporation should face justice for what it's done, but so should Kid for attempting 3 trillion murders. Those are not the simple choices of a hurt person whose people have been discriminated and displaced. Those are the actions of a madman. And the story needed to lean a little heavier to get that point across, or lower the stakes and make him properly sympathetic in his actions. Perhaps he only wanted to blow up the arena because the corporation bigwigs were there or something. But it's one of the story's many points that I think needs reworking.
Hi.
Who the hell are you?
Who the hell are you? That's my species and my name is Kid.
Kid has an inside woman, Wynn, another Hellion that Nina took a chance on hiring, so kind of a bitch move from Wynn here. And they play the dress rehearsal to the masses, but thanks to the lack of Rylan in it, the Doctor figures out something's up. So he starts tinkering with a great jump. Also, Sabine mentions that the Zygons have a new habitat, and I don't know, it's just kind of nice to know that those guys got their own world after having to seek refuge on Earth for ages. In a well-mixed sequence, a performer I'm pretty sure is played by the same actress as Janice Goblin, Kid pops the Bubble's energy with some cringy humour, sending the Watchers, including the Doctor and the TARDIS, into space. Holy shit, that looks amazing. If there's one thing this episode has no fault in, it's the look, because Jesus, this sequence is fantastic, and it perfectly sells the scope of the song contest, even if it is giving Republic Senate vibes. Nina tells us that the people out there are still revivable, while Belinda meets superstar Cora, played by Miriam Teak Lee, who helps center her as Belinda has a panic attack at the prospect of being stuck God knows where and when without the Doctor. It's nice, but rudely interrupted by fucking Dugadoo from the planet Grimbold. Don't get me wrong, I love Dugadoo, but this kinda felt like the wrong place to put him. Kid reveals he has a delta wave.
A delta wave!
Which we're told will kill everyone watching, hijacking the station signal like said before. The Doctor is about to freeze with the rest of them, but a vision of Susan prompts him into action. Although, did he get his momentum from the ice? And he uses a confetti cannon that was set up earlier to get back to the station, fitting the campiness well, as he says.
Camp?
while the couple open the airlock from Space Babies to get him through, and luckily Mike is a nurse like Belinda so he can take care of the Doctor. These two can have their annoying moments, but they are quite charming in most of the episode. Now, we kind of glossed over it, but Carol Ann Ford came back, and I love it. Boy, do I love it. But I do take an issue with how she was used. In the Unleashed episode, Russell tells us her inclusion is meant as a vision 15 conjures up to himself to help himself into action. And using that, we can infer that she appears in his darker moments later as a vision of his conscience. A very similar moment to her with 8 Into the Death.
What are you going to do?
You better come with me.
Why?
To stop me. Curb me, look after me. Don't you want to make sure your bad old grandfather doesn't take the laws of time into his own hands?
But in the episode itself, it's very unclear, especially when she tells him to find her, whether or not Susan is returning in the larger story arc, or if it's just a vision. And to be fair, I've always wanted Carol Ann Ford to come back for a few performances, and then to regenerate and pass the baton on. But just the fact we've got her back is enough for me. It's just how the episode handled it I have an issue with. The Doctor reveals he can save the people out there thanks to his meddling with the tech, so there are no deadly consequences for those people if he can save the day. Just like the Devil's Cord, we get a really strange pronoun drop, and Kid reveals his countdown till boom. And thanks to our side characters, we shed some light on the Hellions' backstory. More of the rumour and suspicion about how evil they are and that they destroyed themselves. The Doctor gets a taste of the Delta Wave when he meddles and reveals that the signal will in fact kill the 3 trillion Watchers. As Gary gets to have his moment, Graham Norton appears as a hologram. This time actually cast and invited onto Doctor Who and not just invading it. And his performance is fun, and he actually mentions Earth, so that's nice to hear. But the fact that 15 can't protect Belinda at the moment is getting to him, giving him more Susan flashbacks. Kid and 15 speak, unable to see Belinda now learning 15 is safe, and the Doctor crashes out.
And you can run and hide and whimper all you like, but I will find you, because you have put ice in my heart, darling. You put it there, so I will cast your body out into the void.
A lot of the lines are nice, but the whole ice in his heart thing would work a lot better with more personal stakes. As far as 15 is aware, Belinda is in suspended animation, but it's the threat to Belinda that's seemingly setting him off with the whole Susan thing. Not the 3 trillion, but he will say it is later, so once again, very confusing. So while his anger, both ways I guess, is justified, the actual dialogue would work far better if he actually thought Belinda, the person closest to him, and that he has a duty of care for, could straight up be dead. Meanwhile, Cora reveals herself to be a Hellion, having had her horns forcefully removed, and revealing the corporation bought and raided their planet solely for a source of honey flavouring. Once again, Kid would be a lot more sympathetic if the sheer amount of innocents were only getting involved in the crossfire of his war against the corporation, but here he is just straight up killing people in their living rooms and targeting them specifically for no good reason. If anything, he should only be targeting the people running the show. Cora's friend, boyfriend, business partner, I'm not sure, is really intent on leaving her now that he knows she's a dirty, evil Hellion. And Kid is almost ready to activate the wave before he is distracted by the Doctor and the Doctor's hologram. 15 deactivates the Delta Wave and Kid's gun, claiming he is just someone who is using his tragic backstory as a reason to kill. And yeah, he kind of is. Once again, the script either needed to go all the way sympathetic or all the way evil, and they are really leaning into evil here as the Doctor uses the hologram to torture Kid with electric shocks. Now, many are saying that this is out of character, and I don't agree. While it may have been more in character if, as I said before, the personal stakes were higher, it's not out of character. See The Family of Blood, Solomon the Trader, or going even further back, Seven knowing exactly what action Davros would take, tricking him into nuking his own home planet. There is a history of it here, and it's not like it comes out of nowhere. Susan is begging for him to stop, and it's not until he sees Belinda alive and well that he pulls himself off the edge. Once again, it works well as it is in Ncuti's performance and script, but that doesn't mean there isn't room for improvement. Once again, personal stakes would have made it better. Belinda walking in the room and seeing 15 doing that would work a lot more if he thought that she was possibly dead, not just frozen out there and completely fine. The 3 trillion innocent people are large enough to set the Doctor off, but it certainly would feel a lot more justified as a character motive if it were personal to the characters that are in this story, and not the Time Lords who die and come back and die and come back. Now with the main threat out of the way, we spend a fairly large amount of time just unfreezing everyone from space, and then we get to see the heart of the story, as Cora performs for the revived audience, revealing her true identity and singing a pretty good song with interesting and emotional visuals, applauded with one of those spreading slow clap tropes. And this all works, it's fun and emotional, but the pacing of the episode grinds to a halt. If we went the sympathetic route, this singing could come in at the climax and talk Kid down, as we see it emotionally affects him at the end. But as it is, it just kind of feels like the story dragging its feet, because the main plot is over. It's just a bit messy. But I think the point of Cora revealing the truth about her people, making a change peacefully, is a nice narrative mirror to Kid straight up trying to murder multiple galaxies worth of people. Wynn and the audience congratulate her, and 15 and Belinda make it back into the TARDIS. The Doctor facing no personal consequence in this dynamic with Belinda for more than 10 seconds. And just before they fly away, the Graham Norton hologram tells them, on the day Belinda got stolen away, the planet fucking disintegrated for no good reason. And the TARDIS goes red, ending the episode on the TARDIS doors exploding inward, the cloister bell ringing, the TARDIS going red, eh? Rani red? No, it can't be. No way. I mean, I did a whole video on why the Rani most likely won't be coming back, and that if Mrs. Flood is any Time Lord, with her whole meddling thing and the Wish World and Reality War titles, it's probably going to be the Monk. And I mean, this episode isn't the time to reveal that she's the Rani, because the Doctor isn't there. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be as impactful. And oh, yep, she's the Rani. Fucking hell. Yep, let's talk about that scene. I love the Rani, and although she got some more content after Classic Who, it was not critically acclaimed. So bringing her back here is nice. But I still have issues. The freezing causes Mrs. Flood to bigenerate, her splitting and spawning the Rani, played by Archie Punjabi. And first of all, I'm digging the look. Speaking about Archie first, she sells the role, seriously, in like 2 sentences. I haven't seen her in anything before, but I am pretty hopeful after what I've seen here. But where my main issue comes in is with Mrs. Flood. She is not characterized like the Rani at all, more of a caricature of the camp era of Dimensions in Time, which could work. Hey, they banter well in the last couple of seconds.
I will bring him absolute terror. That's what I said. Shut up. Yes, ma'am.
But Mrs. Flood seems to take a fully subservient role to the Rani, and that just doesn't make sense. I can never see any version of the Rani obeying another. One seeing the other as inferior definitely works, but all this yes ma'am, sorry ma'am comes off really poorly in cringy dialogue, and the dynamic just doesn't work for me or the character. If they wanted the bi-generation, they could have had the Rani working together, and each a different facet, Mrs. Flood the camp, monk-like one, and the Rani being the stern, domineering scientist. And of course, they'd have their issues and maybe they'd turn against one another. As it's portrayed here though, I'm dreading her characterization for the next 2 weeks. Can't wait to see these actors retake the role in Big Finish like 7 years from now though. So that was the Interstellar Song Contest, and although it has a lot that I love, looking with a critical eye, I just can't give it a high ranking. It's certainly the worst we've had in the season. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed watching it every second both times. The performances do well with the material given, but it really comes off as a mangled first draft, or a second draft that someone has gone rifling through, planting their own ideas with no thought as to how it affects the story as a whole. Watching it is enjoyable with the music and dark moments in camp, but when I analyse it from a writing perspective, it pains me how messy I find the motivations, actions, and messaging. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to give the Interstellar Song Contest a 5.5 out of 10. It truly pains me to do so, and I hope a lot of people enjoyed it, but with very simple fixes and stronger justifications for characters' actions, it would have worked far better whichever way they took it. Thank you everybody for watching my review of the disappointing Interstellar Song Contest. I honestly wish it could have been better, and I don't know why the Ronnie reveal was there instead of while the Doctor was there, or hell, next week. Please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, ring the notification bell so that you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast.
a little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.